Right, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, folks, depending on whatever time frame or in part of the world that you guys are based. From myself, it is good afternoon because I'm based in London. As always, it is a pleasure to host our Master Series webinar every Wednesday, in which we cover various different topics, ranging from stock market to commodities to equities and, of course, Forex as well. I can see already from the comments, some people are a little bit ahead of everything because they know that the first question that I usually ask is that if you guys can see my display and if you can see if you can hear me as well. They've already seen that all is good, sound is check, and of course they can see my screen as well, so they're giving me both. So thank you for that, and then I appreciate a lot of familiar names over here. They're coming back as always for our weekly webinars to make sure that they can stay up to date with all the information in relation to the market fundamentals and of course the market technical analysis as well, which is quite an essential, because one thing which is for certain when it comes to markets is that markets do change, and that means that we need to change as market changes its direction. And then you can only find all these sort of information if you are staying up to date with us on with our weekly webinar series or through our YouTube videos. Now, before we continue, as always, I just wanted to kind of go through briefly this disclaimer part, which is anything that is going to be discussed in this particular video cannot be perceived as an advice. If you are seeking for one, please do consider consulting with your own financial advisors. Now, as for our social media contacts, the Twitter handle is right in front of you, and on a daily basis we put two different videos out there. One is your daily fundamental and the other one is your technical analysis video, and I hope you guys are finding these videos quite useful. If you are not watching them, I highly recommend you to do that and subscribe to those channels. Now, in relation to Bitcoin, the first study question I wanted to throw out is how many of you guys are actually trading Bitcoin? How many of you actually have traded or have currently position in Bitcoin? Okay, so I see a lot of people are saying yes, and some are saying that they currently have a position, some saying that they currently do not have a position, they have traded previously. Okay, so how many in this group, please don't take that as something that be shameful, but it is perfectly okay. But how many of you actually know what Bitcoin is? Or you have heard about Bitcoin, something like a term called Bitcoin. How many of you know actually what Bitcoin is? Anyone who doesn't know what Bitcoin is? Okay, so I see that there are people who are over here and then they're saying that they think they know what Bitcoin is, but they have very basic knowledge. And few are saying that yes, they have heard about it and then they think they know a little bit about it, but they don't know. That's great, because that is the purpose of this particular master series, this particular webinar, to give you as much knowledge as we can in relation to that. So what is Bitcoin? The first study question. So obviously Bitcoin is something which is classified as a digital currency. You can buy things with that one. It has certainly a lot of value. Currently, it is trading in around that $40,000. Tesla, previously back in days, you could, give your Bitcoin and rather than your dollars, and you can buy Tesla with that. But of course, that is not the option any longer anymore. But it can be back on the table very soon. Elon Musk believes that, yeah, okay, the mining energy is coming 50% from the renewable source. Now, the second study question, as a part of the first question part, is that, is it really a safe haven? Because Bitcoin is also considered as something what we call digital gold. Because traditionally, gold was your safe haven asset, meaning when everything else is going down, when people start losing their faith in a normal fiat currencies such as the dollar, such as the Japanese yen, or such as the British pound. And believe me, history tells us that there has been some incidents, where people actually lost their faith in their currencies, and as a result, we saw those massive moves in those currencies. So what those investors or those consumers, they did was they ran towards more safe haven asset, and that safe haven asset is what back in days was only gold, because they knew gold was there for thousands and thousands of years, and it has a value, and then it doesn't depreciate in value, because dollar depreciates in value. What do I mean by that? $100 today doesn't have the same purchasing power that it had 20 years ago. Or wherever you are, whatever country you guys are, a unit of 100, whether that is $100, 100 sterling, 100 pound, 100 Chinese yuan, or wherever you guys are, it doesn't have the same value that it had 20 years ago. But a 1 gram of gold is still 1 gram of gold. Of course, in terms of dollar, it has gone above in value, but that is only and only because dollar has depreciated in value. Our fiat currencies have depreciated in value because of unlimited supply. They can continue to print as much currency as they want, and that sort of depreciates the value of the currency. Now, with respect to Bitcoin, that is not the case, because over here, the supply is very much limited when it comes to Bitcoin. So you cannot continue to print more or mine more Bitcoin. Can anyone tell me what is the total supply of Bitcoin? Another study question for you guys. So anyone who knows what is that, there you go. Amutha is always the one who is putting that answer out straight away. I think she probably has that answer ready, because I do ask that question all the time. Thank you for answering that. That's great. There's 21 million Bitcoin altogether, and then there will be never ever going to be more than 21 million. Now, if I say to you that there's only 21 million notes of dollar, no, that is not the case. Not even 21 trillion. The note supply is unlimited. They continue to print dollar. They continue to print any other currency as they need, and basically that is depreciating the value of that currency. Now, with respect to gold, with respect to Bitcoin, that is not the case. Hence, they are classified as safe haven, and more recently, investors have started to diversify their portfolio from gold to Bitcoin now as well. So just like gold, they think Bitcoin also is a store of a value commodity, and it is going to continue to increase in value in times of disparity, in times of concern, in times of when market is completely nervous. Traders will turn their focus towards Bitcoin and, of course, gold as well. So that is a bit of a background about Bitcoin. Hopefully that clarified that situation with you guys, that what is a Bitcoin, and if it is a safe haven currency or not. Can it be classified as a safe haven currency? So hopefully that sort of made that thing a bit more clear for you guys. Now, what is moving Bitcoin prices? So the factors that are really moving Bitcoin prices these days are really sort of a sentiment around this one. Of course, regulation is on top of the agenda. And number two is the renewable energy source. That has become more of a recent thing, which is very much has started to move Bitcoin price. And thirdly, the involvement from the institutional investor side. And fourthly, of course, some of the current countries like El Salvador, if I can pronounce the name correctly, has also legitimized the concept of Bitcoin as a legal tender, as their own currency. So that is, again, how many other governments or countries are we going to see legitimizing the concept as a legal tender for Bitcoin as another fundamental on that perspective? So again, to summarize, it's the mining, it's the regulation, it's the investors, institutional investors involvement, and of course the regulatory stance. Really, what is that kind of? All of these are very much moving in that the price of Bitcoin. But above all of that, something also which is very much moving the Bitcoin price is the adoption of Bitcoin in the real world. How many things can we actually buy today with Bitcoin? But of course, the argument on that side also is that how many things can you really buy with gold? Can you take gold to Walmart and then exchange it for a computer, for a TV? Or can you take gold in a Toyota showroom and then give them gold in exchange for a car? So, the same sort of an argument is over here as well. And people and investors believe that Bitcoin will never ever be used like that. It's more of a store of a value, in hedge against inflation. That is very much going to be focusing on that. So does that make sense to you guys so far, what we have discussed? Okay, right. So now the next study question really is, how big is the demand among investors and institutions? Now, of course, the demand is really growing every single day because we have legislations from Germany where the regulators have approved the use of Bitcoin in their hedge fund portfolios. So one can really increase that exposure to all the way to 10%, which is really, really great from that perspective, because that means the demand is continuously increasing with respect to Bitcoin. And as long as the demand continues to increase, that means that we are going to see Bitcoin prices moving to the upside. Now, let me share for the next one, let me bring out my MT4 platform. So bear with me, so in order to bring that, and then we can define the prices from there onwards. So just give me one sec, and let me come out of this screen and pause this one for a while, and then we go over here, and let me share this one. Here we go. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to talk about the technical aspects of the price, right? Really where the price is trading currently, where the price can really grow from here, and what is really ahead for the price. For those of you who are trading Bitcoin currently, can you please tell me, are you guys a long for the time being, or are you guys a short in terms of that? I mean, what are your current positions? Okay, everyone is saying that they are long. Anyone who is short on Bitcoin? Okay, so very, very few people who are actually short on Bitcoin. Okay, that is great. All right, okay. So let me explain in a little bit more detail what is happening with respect to that. So first of all, the chart which is right in front of you, this is the Bitcoin's daily time frame. And on the daily time frame, you may be wondering what are these three lines. So these three lines are known as your three different moving averages. Firstly, it is your 50-day simple moving average right over here. And then what you have is your 100-day simple moving average over here. And finally, you have your 200-day simple moving average over here. The way that if you're not sure how to put these moving averages, and I will come to the importance of these moving averages as well, is you go over here to and you click on indicator list, okay, or sorry, you go over here and then you say insert indicators, then trends, and then you click into moving averages. From here, what you really do is you change the period from 10 to 50, and because I like to keep it in pink, you change the color in pink. For 100, you put it 100 over here, change the color to orange, and then for 200, we put 200 over here and change the color to 200. Now, the question really is, why are we focusing on the 200-day simple, on 50, 100, and 200-day simple moving averages? The answer to that is because this is where institutions are very much buying or selling their positions. Institutions pay very, very close attention to these particular price levels. Because look at over here, the moment the price came near its 50-day simple moving average, what happened afterwards was a massive move to the upside. Again, the price came close towards its 50-day simple moving average. The price moved massively to the upside. The third time the price came close to the 50-day simple moving average. Now we are touching the 50-day simple moving average too many times, which really shows that the bulls are losing some sort of a momentum. But look what happened again. The price formed another record high. Now, of course, the last three times the price touched the 50-day simple moving average was very, very close. And the third time when the price came towards its 50-day simple moving average, it didn't bounce. It moved towards its 100-day simple moving average. And what happened? After that, we saw this massive momentum to the upside again. But then quickly price reversed its direction, as you can see right over here. And we already knew from this particular time frame from here that the price, if it breaks below the 50-day simple moving average, it is likely to break below the 100 because the test was coming too close. And that is what happened. The price continued to break to the downside. Now, usually you will see a bounce, but because the sell-off was so intense, the price continued to move to the downside and it came into this area of support, which was a previous area of support where the rally really started. Now, if you are wondering that how did I know about this one, these particular price levels, they were mentioned in our YouTube videos, which we do on a daily basis. We picked out this particular price level when the price was trading around over here. We mentioned that the price can come into this particular zone and it can bounce back up. And look, price did bounce back up sharply. But what happened was the price failed to break above the 200-day simple moving average, which sort of confirmed to us that, look, the momentum is not strong enough. The price is likely to come back down, and which it did right over here. Now, when the price came over here, we did do another video on our YouTube channel, and we mentioned that the price now has formed a reversal bullish pattern, and that is called your double bottom. And we mentioned that now the price is likely to move to the upside, which again, as you can see, the price sort of moved to the upside on the back of that. Now, really, the question is that all of that has happened back in the past. the question really is where the price is really going to move now. Can it continue to move to the upside or not? Well, there are a few things that we got to be mindful of in terms of that. Number one is the price is very close towards this 200-day simple moving average. So, and the second thing is the price, the 50-day simple moving average is also coming closer and closer to the 50-day, to the actual price. Now, the chances are that the 50-day can cross below the 200-day simple moving average, especially if the price cannot go above the 200-day simple moving average right over here. It will become an issue for the price to continue its journey to the upside. So there are two possibilities. Number one is that if the price stays move above the 200-day simple moving average, then it is very easily likely to break above the 50-day simple moving average. That would be very, very positive. Or the other possibility is that the 50 will move below the 200-day simple moving average price, and it will come close towards the price action. So let's say that the 50 over here, it comes sort of over here near the price. If the price crosses above this one, then it is great. That would be positive. However, when the 50 is going to cross to the downside of the 200-day simple moving average, at the same time, what we also need to be very much aware of that is that the price at the time is going to be bearish as well, because look, this is your 100 and then this is your 50. The price may not be able to bounce back up. As this crossover will happen, traders will pay more attention to this crossover, to this bearish crossover, and the price can actually move back into this area. But if it comes into this area, the chances would be the price will move into another better area of support, which is mentioned over here. So a lot of possibilities of the price taking place around these particular price levels where it is trading. Does that make sense? Any questions around that, guys, first? Okay, so let's get back to it. I'm glad that you guys are. Yes, Matthew, that is a very good question. So Matthew is asking us a question that could there be an impact of this one tonight? Why tonight? Because at 7 p.m. tonight, we have the Federal Reserve talking about their monetary policy decisions. So 7 p.m. my time, London time, we will have the Federal Reserve talking about their monetary policy decisions. So basically inflation. They'll be talking about inflation, they'll be talking about their interest rate, they'll be talking about their tapering, the asset purchase program. Now, if we see any hint of hawkish sentiment narrative in that meeting, we are likely to see Bitcoin moving to the downside. This crossover can easily happen then. However, if we see no hawkish statement or narrative there, then we could see the market moving to the upside because the dollar index will move to the downside. Because remember, BTC is priced against the dollar over here. In this particular situation, we are looking at the BTC, Bitcoin, against the dollar. So that is the point that Matthew brought it up. So at 7 p.m., we all need to be very much fine-tuned in relation to that one. Now, if we look at the individual everyday's price action, what is quite interesting happening and giving us a bit of a bearish signal is, look at the low of this particular candle over here. That low is 38,714. Now, of course, the price hasn't gone to the lows of this candle yet, but if it breaks below the lows of this candle, what do we have then? then we have another high formed over here, and then we'll be looking at the price, can it maintain this lower high, higher low over here? Because at that time, if it breaks below that, we will know for sure that the price weakness is coming, but the question would be, can it stay above that 34,671 or not? Because if the trend is going to continue, we have a higher low over here in comparison to this one. Now, what we want to see is a lower high as well. A trend, because a trend is formed by forming higher highs, which we have it over here, and then higher lows, which we have it over here. That is what you call a trend. A trend goes like that. So high, 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 low, low, low. So that is how a trend is very much formed. So that is what we're going to see. Can the price really respect this price level? Sorry, this particular price level, that is the most important one if it breaks below that, because that will confirm that this higher high is, in comparison to this one, is for real, and now the price has the potential to go above this high. But if it breaks below this low, then that means this was a fake momentum, and still there is more momentum to the downside rather than to the upside. Does that make sense to you? Right. Now, before we go, I wanted to give you guys one more particular thing with respect to Bitcoin, and that is our 4-hour time frame. What we need to see over here is, number one, is that bullish sign came yesterday when the 50-day simple moving average crossed above the 100-day simple moving average. The other sign that we have is the price is trading above the 200-day simple moving average right over here. We do not want the price to break below its 200-day simple moving average. However, if the price breaks below this one, we certainly do not want the price to break below these particular price levels, which is in around that 36,000. Because if it does, then really what it means is that the prices are going to be moving much lower from here onwards. That is what it really means. Does that make sense to you guys? So to summarize, we want the price to stay above the 200-day simple moving average. If it breaks, we want the price to stay above these particular moving averages. If it breaks below them, then we know there is serious problem in the price, and we are likely to see more intensified sell-off. So overall, what we really sort of need to do in terms of a price action, in terms of a summary, is we want the prices to stay above that, above these moving averages. If we can stay above these moving averages, that means that price is likely to break this and that. But if the price cannot stay above these moving averages, then it really means that the price is heading back towards much lower in this particular zone. And in fact, the price can actually continue to move lower towards these particular price action, and because that crossover will intensify the sell-off. Any questions? Now is the time for you guys to ask any questions if you haven't. If not, then I'll take it that you guys. So someone is asking, any way to minimize overnight costs on Bitcoin? I mean, reduce your position. That's the only thing that I can say. Otherwise, there is not really any other option for that, unless you just buy physical Bitcoin rather than trading it on the CFDs. All right. Okay, folks, that's all from my side. thank you so much for attending our webinar, and I will see you guys next time, same place, same venue. Stay safe.